You are now listening to For All Nerds Show, a podcast about geek and pop culture from the perspective of people of color. For All Nerds is hosted by DJ Ben Amin and Tatiana Keene Jones. For All Nerds Show is a member of the Loudspeakers Network, where we always say rest in peace to our founder, Combat Jack.
For All Nerds Show is powered by our listeners. Everything we do, from our podcasts, live events, our website, are all independently funded. Please continue to support us through our Patreon page at patreon.com/forallnerds.
Welcome to the For All Nerds Show. And what's up, y'all, and welcome to another episode of the For All Nerds Show. Ha! The voice of the urban geek, the podcast where we discuss geek and pop culture from the perspective of people of color. And as always, in the captain's chair, it's your boy DJ Ben Amin, aka the Ghost in the Shell Toe, Trinidad Bane, Wakanda's favorite DJ, the Kevin Bacon of the internet's Dr. Dreidel, Beverly Trillbilly, Dr. Whose Mans Is This? I'm always watching everybody's reaction and I can't even finish. So I'm just going to leave it at that. The future herald of Galactus.
Oh, Jesus.
Back in the spaceship. I was going to go with spin the block like a dreidel, but Dr. Dreidel.
Nah, Dr. Dreidel is the best.
All right. Thank you very much. Dr. Dreidel in the house. Shout out to my brother Zev. I know you're listening right now.
Yes.
And as always, I'm joined by
Tatiana King, the Grand Duchess of Tech, also known as Flex Luthor, Glorilla Grodd, Lambo Calrissian, Ned Slanders, Little Vision Vert, The Wrath of Khonshu, T'Challa Bread, Scroll Obsidian, Mulatto Hightower, I'm Dreaming of a Walter White Christmas, Kuji Chagalia down to the socks, Optimus Fine, Trash Ketchum, and the Ting of the North.
You keep going with Trash Ketchum. I keep forgetting to come with Hash Ketchum.
Yeah, you got to do that.
Yes, the brother and sister duo. But today we are joined by a very special guest. You might have seen them before on our YouTube. Well, not on our YouTube, but on the Smithsonian's YouTube. Introducing our panel at the National Museum. God damn it, I used to get it right.
Of African American
History and Culture. There we go. I used to get it right. It's been a minute. But there we go. Leslie P. Walker is in the building. Please introduce yourself and let the fam know who you are and what you do.
Oh, man. I feel like I've waited all my life for this. But thank you so much for having me. So I'm Leslie Walker. My AKAs are Rick and Maurice, Master of the Marvel Arts, Obi-Wan, Bon Jovi, and Sukihana the Hutt. So.
That's the one.
Wow.
That's the one.
That is the one, because I just saw Sukihana on It Is What It Is on Cam and Mace's show, and that was an episode, to say the least. So, yes, welcome very much. Thank you for joining us. It's an honor and a privilege for you to say that it feels like you've been waiting all your life for this. But thank you very much. And then please let the people know who you are and, what is your job title and all that.
Yes.
Oh, man, it's job title is a mouthful, but I'll just simply say I am a program producer. Mm-hmm. And as you said, I work for the Smithsonian and I work at the National Museum of African American History and Culture, NMAAHC, also known as the Blacksonian. Mm-hmm. And I am responsible for producing several programs at the museum, but those that particularly speak to social justice and scholarly conversations, that falls within my portfolio.
All right. But no, give us the whole, mouthful job title. I want to know.
Yeah. So the whole mouthful title is, what is it? Because I just recently moved into this position, but it's Program Production and Evaluation Supervisor.
It sounds like some boss level shit. That's what I heard. I heard you're like a boss.
Somewhat. I'm a little boss.
Okay.
You got to fight me to get to the next boss. So.
Okay. So what exactly do you do at the museum?
Yeah, that's a great question to start with. I feel like as a program producer, I pretty much do so much. So it is really looking at how to produce programs that are both entertaining, that are educational, and also exciting and thought-provoking. So I've been with the Smithsonian for 4.5 years, but I've dedicated almost a decade to the work of public history, community engagement, and teaching. And my role right now, it allows me to combine my passion for heritage study and contemporary culture to create programs that complement and enhance our museum exhibitions and the overall experience that you have in the museum.
So since you've been having such a long history, this just sounds like a dream job, particularly for someone like you. Like, did you go to school? Like, do you have this background in like liberal arts, or like, how did you get involved in this?
Yes, so I did go to a liberal arts college, and I am a museum educator. I have a background in anthropology, and I specialize at looking at African diaspora culture.
Okay.
And I've been able to do a lot of really cool stuff with that. But the Smithsonian definitely, and working at this particular museum is a dream job. It really is.
Wow.
Yeah, I wake up every day. It's a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but I'm just like, man, I really am happy that I landed this gig.
I mean, we're happy you landed this gig. Without you, we would not be there, right? Ben already said it a little bit, but I do wanted to make sure that we've said it before, but again, just want to express our gratitude for that you saw us for who we are, right? You saw that the vision that we bring, you see the value add that we have, that the contribution to the culture that we bring when it comes to ForAllNerds and the things that we love. So for you to be able to infuse our passion with your passion and then bring about a program that clearly a lot of people messed with heavy. And, we just had such huge, amazing positive feedback from there. Like, I think that was incredible. So I just want to thank you first and foremost. I'm glad you're there.
Oh, well, thank you for answering the call, taking on the hero's journey.
Oh, come on now. No, yeah, and like Tatiana said, I want to reiterate. I also want to thank you very much for that, because it was an honor. It was a blessing. It was just
big time.
It was something that I never imagined, and then it just happened, and it was like, wow, we're really standing on stage in the Oprah Winfrey Theater.
Facts.
At the Blacksonian, doing it big with some of our heroes and our peers and icons, and we're being broadcast worldwide, from the Blacksonian. So that was something, and I really want to thank you, and thank you for being there, and thank you for doing the work you're doing, because that trip was my first time getting to go into the museum, and it was absolutely mind-blowing. Like, I got to check out the Afrofuturism exhibit, and then I spent a whole hell of a lot of time going, Leslie took me through the music exhibit and then left me there, and I stayed there for a long time after that, and I reference it constantly since then. It's just been I love that floor. Like, that alone, I think, is such an amazing thing. And you were telling me, I don't even know, I won't reveal all that, but I know you were doing some inside plans for like the future of the music floor, and I just love the idea behind that and what y'all are doing there, and how that will educate people about Black music, which I just think, I actually tweeted this the other day, and I really want to say it now, because there's no major form of American music that does not exist without the creation. Now, I won't even say contribution. I want to say
the creation thereof
by Black and brown people in the story. There is none from every single major form or genre of music that you want to think about. It's started by Black and brown people.
We are a musical people.
And we're also dealing with a lot of oppression and shit, and that contributes to our, to the fact that, the blues don't come about if we aren't, given the blues in a way that no other people can relate or create.
Most definitely. And, Ben, I want every visitor that comes to the museum to kind of walk away and have that experience that you just so vividly expressed. Not everybody's going to feel that way, but if they're able to at least leave the museum and just kind of think differently, I think we've done a really great job. And if they're able to come back and participate in a program and really dive into discussion and really pose really great questions like they did with you all, I think we're doing a great job.
Absolutely. And a little bit differently from Ben, that was my second time in the museum. And the first time I was there for maybe 4 hours, and I just felt like it wasn't enough time. Like, the museum, the African American Museum, is a place where you literally, I feel personally, you have to spend days, like dedicate one day to one part of the exhibit to really get the full experience and be able to ask the questions and really peruse all of the details. I mean, I don't think there's anything in the world that can quite comprehend the massiveness of Black culture, African American culture, right? Obviously. But this museum tries its best and does a really damn good job. And the fact that you have rotating and new exhibits and new things that you're curating. So, like, for example, Ben mentioned that we were there as part of the Afrofuturism exhibit. And I'm just curious, like, because now we have you. I want to know the behind the scenes. Like, how did y'all decide, hey, this is what we want to focus on? And then how did y'all go about doing the curation?
Yeah, so the Afrofuturism exhibition is our latest exhibition at the museum that opened in March 23. And it was set to close March 24, but due to its popularity, we've actually extended the run of the show to August of next year. So the temporary exhibitions or the changing galleries that we have in the museum, they rotate every year to 2 years. And it allows us to dive in really deeply on a particular topic that is represented in the museum in some way, but really expand it and blow it up a bit more. And the museum, only 10% of our collection is on display in the building. The rest is in a storage facility in Maryland under conservation and cataloging.
What?
And every August we rotate objects in our permanent exhibition. So the stories don't stay, they don't stay
Stagnate.
still.
Yeah.
And they don't change necessarily, but the object comes in and really refresh things. So you can come to the museum a year from now and see a different object. But the temporary gallery is really where we're able to breathe new life and have people come back to the museum. And the Afrofuturism exhibition, that was one that was, I have to give a shout out to the lead curator, that is Dr. Kevin Strait, and he was assisted by Timothy and Burnside. And that was in the workings, I would say, going back to 2018. And then the work really started at the beginning of 2020. And of course, we know what happened in 2020. So it was extended, and really we had to rethink how we were going to position the exhibition and really what story we were necessarily going to tell, because there was this new layer of history that was added to us. So the Afrofuturism exhibition, first we had to understand how were we going to define it. There's so many definitions for Afrofuturism. And the way that the museum takes it is we see Afrofuturism as the lifestyle, the philosophy, the aesthetic that expresses notions of Black identity, agency, freedom. And we express that through art, creative works, and activism. And all of this is to envision a liberated future for Black lives. So we do that through literature, we do that through looking at music, and we do that at looking at fictive and speculative fiction, such as comic books and comic book characters. And then lastly, also looking at how Black folks have utilized the internet and how they've mobilized with Black Lives Matter and others, how they've mobilized thoughts and created community. And Tatiana's holding up the publication that was a complement to the exhibition,
which is absolutely beautiful. And the exhibition, like everything else in the museum that I got to see so far, is so beautiful. But I know, like, a friend of mine, he went through the whole museum and he describes it like this. He's like, when you start at the basement, it's like you start with the slavery and everything and all the trauma. And then as you rise up, it's like the people are rising up with you as you go through it. So it's like the Afrofuturism exhibit is up high, you know, with the music and all that. And that was really...
That's interesting, that observation, because that's so true. It's like, you know, rising of your consciousness and rising of the body, you know, the physical rising and the mental and even the emotional rising, right? Like the feelings of joy and creativity and creation itself is a very high vibration. So to have it on a higher plane, literally physically on a higher plane, that's fire.
Yeah. And then the ideas in the Afrofuturism exhibit, some of them that really stuck with me that I hope people get to see it and take with them, is like the part when it talks about the Dogon. I I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And
Mhm.
I'd heard of them before. I know Young Guru had referenced them one day, and he's one of the smartest dudes I know. And he referenced them talking about engineers and math. And I was like, okay, I need to check into this. Or whenever he references anything, I'm like, I
Yeah,
need to
man.
read about this. So then at the exhibit, there's a whole little section on them, and that really fucked me up. Where I was like, oh no, okay. So I went and got the book by Laird Scranton, The Science of the Dogon, and he has 2 books on it. I got to get the first book so I can really read everything about them as much as possible. But it's stuff like that we're just not taught at
Yeah.
all. I mean, even in places like Howard University, shout out to HU, it wasn't like that unless you really seek this stuff out sometimes. So to see it all right there in this exhibit where it'll inspire people to go get these books, like the complimentary book you have, like I've gotten like 2 other books on Afrofuturism since the exhibit, one written by one of the contributors, and then this Dogon book. So I love it, man. I just love how much information, how much history, how much future thought. And then what you said really needs to be illustrated and put a pin in it and really like hype that shit up. Like the idea of a liberated people, because
Yes.
that's something that it's funny because I reference this often. I wrote this graphic novel. Me and my partner Mello Brown wrote this graphic novel, Hendrix Purple Haze. I'm sure as you've heard us talk about, we talked about it at the show. And there's parts in it. I'm trying not to give away shit, but like Mello wrote this scene that fucked me up when I read it because it talks about that idea and about how much creativity and how much stuff we've done under pressure. And what would it look like if we weren't under this pressure? And that's something that's so hard to imagine because like I was talking about that music thing and I was talking with another producer who's a white guy and he's like, yeah, what you said straight up and down. And I'm like, yeah, man, it's hard for me, even as a black person, to understand the amount of creativity that we've put forth. And that, going back to the exhibit, there's a panel, a small little panel on the wall talking about punk and go-go and how they're both created by black people at the same time in the same city in the same decade, pretty much.
Yep.
And that shit wrecked me because I knew go-go and punk were both black, obviously, but I didn't realize how closely they were intertwined and how they both came up in DC. And it's just, yeah.
Like the museum and honestly, all the work that you, Leslie, and all your colleagues are doing is transformative. As you can see, like Ben Amin is losing his shit over there, but he's just recalling. This is just from recollection. So could you imagine him in real life? And I know that reaction and that emotion and experience is multiplied and triplicate and quadruplicate, like with the amount of people that are constantly coming in and visiting the museum. And with that understanding, like, how does that make you feel just to be part of the people who keep this museum in motion? Because it is a living thing if you think about it.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. And I think that's the great thing about the museum is that it's one where we're constantly collecting and we're still collecting objects. So we don't necessarily see this as a completed history. And then it's one that can be reinterpreted in so many different ways. So the exhibition that preceded Afrofuturism was one that looked at Reconstruction. So the period after emancipation in the country and sort of the promises that were made available to Black folks that were suddenly cut off by the emergence of Jim Crow. So that's one way of sort of looking at a history that isn't always acknowledged in textbooks and really spoken about how there's so many folks that were able to run for public office and win, and Black folks were able to own property and get married and go to schools like Howard, and that's where HBCUs were established. So that's one way of really taking a moment and just getting people to pause and reflect on history, but then also looking at Afrofuturism because it is a moment for us to look at the future but also look at the past to interpret our present. And it's one that is built on speculation and ideas that we hold within us that we can make real. And what Ben was speaking to earlier about the Dogon. So the Dogon people are an ethnic group, a tribe that are still present in Mali, West Africa. And one of their great significant influences to Afrofuturism, but really to science, is
Science. Yep.
yeah, they had an understanding of astronomical phenomenon that were before some of the earliest Europeans, and they were able to chart the constellation Sirius, so the star constellation that looks like a dog.
Yeah.
That they were able to identify that well beyond, folks that we revere now, like Isaac Newton and others.
And Copernicus and all them
Yeah.
other people.
And then they built their whole life and society, their mythology, their cosmology has been built around that, and just their culture. And that's where the exhibition opens, is with this ancient and very deep historical knowledge that isn't refreshed necessarily by popular culture, as we see with Afrofuturism, with the emergence of the Black Panther films, but no, that folks really had this understanding of creating a whole world within themselves, well beyond we even thought to think about it. So that's just one of the greatest things that I'm excited to work on. And part of my job is I work with people with so many different backgrounds and disciplinary studies to create an exhibition. So it is a collaboration with various team members that include the curators, who are responsible for constructing the script for the exhibition. We have project managers that keep us on schedule and make sure that we are doing what we need to do. You have folks that go out and collect the objects. So that right there is the important piece, is seeing what do we have in our collections, but what do we need to fill in by going to folks and collecting them and convincing them that,
to let you borrow their stuff.
Yeah, the museum is the best place to have it. And also to collect from other institutions. There's exhibit fabricators, there's graphic designers, there's instructional and media technologists, and then there's folks like myself who are educators.
Yeah.
And as an educator, my job is to be an advocate for the audience and for the public. So to work with the curators to help distill this complex knowledge into one that is easily accessible for visitors. And we contribute to the exhibition script. We also are responsible for drafting the visitor guide and even down to the label text as well.
Right. I'm really glad that you mentioned all of I know that's not even the extent, but you mentioned maybe 10 to 15 different jobs. And it's interesting because a lot of people don't realize, one, all that goes into something you can imagine, but you don't really realize everything that goes into museums, the curation, the thinking of the planning and the execution of exhibits. And then the fact that these are real jobs. Like, some people look at museums and they were like, oh, it might be fun or interesting to work here, but they don't necessarily have a tangible clue as to what goes into it. And what you're speaking is so important and so interesting, because I know there are people out there that are into the arts, and maybe they want to contribute in a way. They want to be the collectors, and they want to be the people who go out and identify body of works or objects, as you mentioned, that are suitable and that are important to be displayed and for people to learn about. So I thank you so much for giving us all this education.
Mm-hmm. All right. But we do have you here because we want to do a little, what we call a watch of this panel, because we've never actually put the actual whole panel on our own YouTube page. And we want to give the people, some of it, just so they taste. Can see, and we can, talk about it, because I don't think either of us have watched this panel since we were on it. I know we don't watch too much of the things we do.
I watched myself stutter in the beginning and I turned it off.
Yeah, I think I did the same. And so we're about
that's enough of that.
Yeah, we're about to check this out, with the people and with Leslie, so we can get his thoughts on it as well, Brother Leslie, and find out, how he feels about how it all went down and everything. So let me just switch over here, and we are good to go. So let's
and we're not going to watch the whole thing. It's just we wanted to just do a tidbit. We may stop and ask you a question, or
we definitely gonna stop.
Make comments.
Yeah, we definitely gonna stop. So let's start off with a little bit from the intro, and Brother Leslie himself giving us a little intro right here. Let's still be silent for a few seconds. There we go. And then oh, look at that! Look who it is.
Okay,
And
cornrows.
welcome to tonight's
Yeah.
program entitled Art Plus Justice, When We See Ourselves as Heroes, here at the National Museum of African American History and Culture. I'm Leslie Walker, and it's a pleasure to have you all here with us this evening. We have an exciting panel discussion waiting for you all, which is especially meaningful as it supports our Afrofuturism exhibition here at the museum. The exhibition highlights the power of imagination and creativity to envision a new future and possibilities for Black people.
You see, Leslie is over here reading, so he's like, he is not gonna fuck this up. Like he is well prepared right here, folks.
Well
I just wanna point that out.
We are honored to have a group of distinguished panelists who will delve into the world of Black superheroes in comics and scripted media. They will discuss the significance and cultural impact of such a representation. Our esteemed panelists include Dr. Eve L. Ewing, professor at the University of Chicago, and the author of Marvel's Ironheart series.
see the
We have Tim Fielder,
curtain moving
illustrator,
a little bit. We were
cartoonist,
peeking
and
behind the
creator
curtain.
of Maddie's Rocket, and the author of Infinitum. And we have Dr. Jonathan Gales, professor at Georgia State University and
Let's get to our
director of
awkward,
Black Script.
Walkout.
And as always, Nerd Show, I'm
Here we go.
live.
This is what I'm here for right here.
Please welcome to the stage our guests, and thank you again for joining us.
This is me, hand in pocket, looking nervous as fuck. Yep.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Hello.
This is me berating the crowd.
Okay, we're going to try again. Hi, everybody. How are you?
If you didn't do it, I would have done it.
Hey, okay. I'm going to give y'all some vitamin C.
Yeah,
We're going to get y'all right and energetic. But hello, we are DJ Ben Ami and Tatiana King of the ForAllNerds. We are here to moderate a
That's like,
beautiful
fuck,
panel.
and that's why I turned it off.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yes.
Wait. I just want to say that I was up there like, you threw your paper away. So I'm like, oh, fuck, I can't be standing here reading. But,
You
you know,
can. You could.
it would have been the right choice because,
That would have been the right choice.
You
Yeah,
know, it
because
happens to the best of us. It really does.
The paper throws me off sometimes. I was just like, ah, but then the words came out wrong.
But you know, these fits though. I know. So I was backstage monitoring the online conversation, and then there were so many people that were shouting out this wonderful dress right here, Tatiana.
Aww.
And then this also, this was the leading into the weekend of Howard's homecoming.
Yes.
So yeah, Ben is represented with his Howard shirt on.
right away. Yeah, there was a lot of thought. I know Tatiana's dress is all fire and everything, but I had the Howard shirt on. I had the 99 shoes on. Shout outs to 99. They're a Black-owned company. And then I had the jacket on that has my father and my mother and Combat Jet's name on it. So, there was I was repping a lot of things. I was like, I'm bringing all of this onto this stage, in the Blacksonian. So it was a lot, you know what I mean? I was bringing HU with me. HU.
Good evening. My name is DJ Ben Amin. And for those who listen to the For All Nerds show, I'm loud right now. But
Yeah.
you know what
Mics are
happens
very
next.
hot.
This is DJ Ben Amin, a.k.a. Howard University's own NBA Youngboy Never Blipped Again, a.k.a. Halal Jordan, a.k.a. Lionel Richie, a.k.a. Buzz Ouchia, a.k.a. Doctor Who's Mans Is This? And as always, I'm joined by...
Tatiana King, the Grand Duchess of
I
Tech,
got
also
no
known
love.
as the Ting of the North, Flex Luthor, the coldest winter soldier ever, T'Challa Bread, and I'm trying to think of another one I haven't said yet. Ooh, Gucci Mandalorian.
I got the laughs.
And welcome. Let's see where we are.
So yeah, right there, I'm nervous as fuck.
Yeah, Leslie, you don't know this. It's interesting because Benjamin and I have actually done a lot of public speaking engagements with, small audiences, huge audiences, international audiences. And obviously we do the podcast every week, right? Multiple times a week, many different people. And I think it was the magnitude of where we were and everything going on. Like, my mans was nervous. And it was interesting on the ride over, I could tell. I got in and I'm like, you nervous, aren't you? And he was just like, yes, I don't know what the fuck. But
Super excited.
Yeah, it was a hybrid audience as well too. So you had the
Yeah.
folks that were there in person, but then we also had folks that were watching online, and it was recorded as well too. So we literally have an audience that is global. So we have folks that are in
Yeah.
different time zones that are viewing this, and then in different countries as well. So maybe they didn't watch it that night, but they watched the
Watch it
recording.
later.
So I can understand like I feel that way all the time. It's like, oh man, my face is
Yeah.
about to be out there.
I think it's like, obviously this is really important to us, right? And
Mhm.
I mean, again, not to say that the things we do otherwise with other people aren't that important, but like this is for our culture, right? So we wanted to make sure we did it right and we represented you well, because the last thing we need is to embarrass you, Leslie. So you know what I'm saying? We want to make sure we was right. So I get it. I get it.
Yep. And here we have me asking about some hip hop ish and a quote from Eve Ewing that I really want to highlight because this is absolutely amazing.
All right. One of my favorite quotes from the Afrofuturism exhibit, Eve, is when you said, anytime Black people are remixing the past to visualize the future, we are rendering Afrofuturism into reality.
That sounds great. I said that.
Yo, first of all, it's a
I'm
word.
gonna claim it. Yeah.
Yeah, claim that.
She's like, I said that? Yes.
That shit is so fire, yo.
It's
like
fire.
every time we're reclaiming the past, we're rendering Afrofuturism. Oh man, and that's like I'll even skip this part right here because basically what I'll talk about and what the panels talk about is, you know, how hip hop is such an expression of that, because hip hop with its sampling and everything it does is always reclaiming the past and then bringing it into this future context with the ideas of like using turntables as musical instruments and all the other things that, you know, came upon from hip hop, which were also a result of the repression. Like I always talk about that, how the turntable usage is only because they took instruments and music out of schools. So kids weren't being taught how to play instruments. So we invented our own. Yeah.
Damn.
And yeah, it's crazy. Like hip hop's creation is such a conflux of events that are all very specific, and the Reagan era, the blackout in New York, it's a lot of things that led to hip hop being this global phenomenon and existing the way it is now that are so like specific and had to happen that way for it to spread the way it does. And here we are now.
Man.
Yeah. So Leslie, so far, like what was your, like, I just have to know, like, what was your reaction to this panel?
Yeah.
You know, how are you feeling right now as it's going on, the online reaction, all of that?
Oh man, I was so happy, one, to get through my introduction. So I was happy
Without a hitch.
Yes.
You did very well.
And then to have you all come out and to kick off this conversation and to have this wonderful collection of people, these great minds that were here assembled on this stage. I think
Yes.
one of the great joys of my work is, first and foremost, the work that I do is in a museum. So it is going to be scholastic in nature, but then also represent people that can see themselves in the history. So representing folks that are in the academy, but also practitioners such as Tim Fielder, who has been doing this work for decades, and then to get his experience and also amplify who is a scholar, who could be considered a scholar. So you have people who write books, and then you have folks who create movies. So both with Tim and with Jonathan, they were there to represent sort of this idea of what it is to create and then interpret masculine characters. But then you have Eve, who is this wonderful, wonderful, brilliant scholar that's talking about creating comic books from the perspective of people who are women in femme, and creating characters who are women in femme and queer characters as well too. And I think Afrofuturism allows for that space for Black men to think about themselves differently and to see themselves differently, but then also for women to be front and center, and to have the two of you beautiful women just in the middle, just have this conversation. I think was one that you all designed when you were saying like, how are we going to sit?
Who sits where?
Yeah. And I definitely want to point that out because I think that's brilliant right there.
Oh, everything we do is pretty intentional. And when I always say this, and I've told Tatiana this many times, I probably said it on the show a million times. Well, when I started the show, we did the first show, Rest in Peace to my brother, Combat Jack. We did a couple episodes and I was like, this ain't it. Ain't no way I'm sitting here with a bunch of dudes talking about this shit. Like, there's no fucking way. And then Tatiana showed up, and like you said, she's a beautiful, intelligent, knows everything about everything that she needs to know. And I was like, oh, we off to the races now. We're good to go. And, you know, here we are now. So, yeah.
At the
Shout
Oprah
out.
Winfrey Theater. Oh my God.
Yeah, for real, for real.
By the way, this is everybody. Well, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people. I'm always going to be hypercritical watching things like this. I'm always going to catch things that no one else
Oh,
caught.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And also, like, I laugh at myself, man. I got to sit up, man. My posture.
Oh, mine is ass.
My posture is ass. And I walk like my dad, man. I need to, like, walking my head up high. God damn.
My head's high usually, but I walk slew-footed as fuck. So it's like, I'm terrible.
I'm like, oh, but that's also my personality. I'm an anxious person, so I'm always walking around like I got to get someplace real fast. It's just like, slow down. You could do.
But that's y'all swag, though.
You
I
know?
see that you could see that as a deficit, or you could see that this is what makes me an individual and unique.
There we go.
Such a nice way to smooth it over, Leslie. I see
Yeah.
you, Brother Walker.
We got to find the joy where we can, right?
Yep. And it's
Thank
also
you.
like I know my posture is bad during the interview, but that's because I'm leaning in to talk to people. It's part of my, it's a trick to get people to talk back to you is you lean into their conversation.
You lean into them, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know.
What else we got, Ben?
Let's see. This is about actually about the title of the show right here,
I think we forget that.
which is also real important. And Leslie, I wanted to say thank you for because you came with this title, and that leads into this. I really want to ask before we can get into this, like, how long have you been paying attention to us, and when did you be like, yo, I'm gonna get them on this panel and do this thing like this?
Oh man, I've been a fan of you all back when
I'll say Fan Bros.
Yes, Fan Bros. Yeah.
Wow.
With the old intro.
Wow.
You had Chico Leo on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out to my brother.
Yep. Oh man, I think the first episode that I came in was when you guys interviewed Cree Summers.
Oh, God.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
and she talked about bound other books. Yeah.
Yeah. And I definitely was like, oh man, I love that you guys are having this conversation because I think it's so
She was out of control.
Oh man.
I don't even recall her being out of control, but maybe
she is sitting there because she knew that I had a huge crush on her, so she's sitting there hitting me with that's right. Because she's talking about how she had all these comic books bound in leather, and she's like, "Oh, you like that, don't you? Bound in leather." And I'm sitting there like, this is not happening.
And I'm just oblivious, like, this is great.
And the thing is, I know Cree, and like I know, like through friends, I know her. I've never met her in person, but through friends who do know her, and I know her whole family. So I know she's just doing it for the show, because she got a beautiful husband, beautiful kids, all that stuff. But she is really laying it on the show, and I'm like, this is a moment, I think, life, that's, for those who haven't heard that, y'all need to go listen to that one, the Cree Summer episode, because Cree was really,
I don't even
fulfilling
recall.
a childhood dream of mine. Let me just say it like that.
I don't even recall that her being wild. Like, I just recall
it was going down.
I just recall her. I'm just like, this is my childhood voice actor. I'm like listening to her so intently. Oh, Ben, fucking shit up over there.
Fucking shit up. No, she was doing it in. Yeah, it was very much, yeah.
So Ben, you were visited by her Foxy Love character?
Man, listen.
Them drawn together, right?
Every single one of her characters was right there. And I was, look, Cree is, that's the one of them ones. So,
We love you, Cree. Cree also has a supporter that's continued to support us throughout all of these years. Anytime she can.
Anytime. Yeah, straight up, she does. All right.
The title of this panel is When We See Ourselves as Heroes, and that comes from an ideal that we have referenced many times on the ForAllNerds show, and that is when we are seen as heroes, superheroes, whatever, in media, we will begin to be seen as human. So on that note, how crucial is the role of Black superheroes in challenging stereotypes and promoting inclusion in media?
Yeah, once again, I don't think we need to hear all the answers to that. That is the one thing about this panel. Just like us, they are some long-winded people, like just like all of us. I remember before we did the panel, I was talking with people and they're like, I don't know how y'all gonna do this in the time a lot you have because
we kept trying to figure that out because we know all, like, with the exception of Jonathan, who was more new to us, we know Eve very well. We know Tim very well. So we knew what we were in for. So Ben and I were strategizing, like, okay, how do we deliver something and how do we not cut someone off, but like keep them moving because we'll get stuck somewhere. And it's good information. It's just like we're stuck. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say inside producer note is because of that, this conversation being so dynamic, typically our programs are about an hour, and that's one thing that folks say all the time in our post program surveys is like, "Oh, this was such a great conversation, but I wish it lasted longer."
It's
And
like,
we
no, you
added,
don't, because it'll be
yeah,
4 hours.
we added 35, 35 extra minutes on there just to allow for you all to unpack a bit and cook. But yeah, I mean, Afrofuturism is so vast, and this is just one aspect of it. And we're looking at Afrofuturism from the perspective of comic book characters and what it means to be
Mhm.
represented in comics, and then how that translates to television and film and other media. We weren't even talking about music, or we weren't even talking about like the deep literature that's out there. So, I mean, we had a whole exhibition about it, and we still had to produce a book and a documentary. So you can have conversations for eons about this.
Of course.
Oh, on that, where's this documentary and where can people see that at?
Yeah.
So the documentary that was produced in partnership with the Smithsonian Channel. So you can watch the Afrofuturism documentary on the Smithsonian Channel website. Or if you have the Smithsonian Channel within your cable package, you can watch it.
You can
there
watch
as well.
it. Yeah.
But also on the website, because I'm not sure if I got I might have that on my Hulu. It might be on there. I think it is.
Is
I
it
think
Smithsonian.gov or what's the website for
It
Smithsonian?
is, go to Smithsonian Channel. Yep, if you type that
Smithsonian
in.
Channel. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, dope. I got to peep that because I did not, I was on the panel and I had no idea. I've read the book, but I did not know the documentary was out there. So I got to peep that ASAP.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Now here's Tatiana asking a real question I want to highlight real quick.
This is a random question. Can you have inclusion if a non-Black person is writing or dictating the story of a Black person? Is that still concluding the conclusion?
Yes.
And see, I'm like, look at Tatiana just throwing live grenades out into the
Yeah.
audience.
See, that's what I do. And that's why I put the papers down, because I like look down. And they're calculated grenades, but they're live grenades, as Ben Amin is saying, because it's just like, holy shit, how are people going to respond to this, right? But it's always, what's the word? It's always prescient to what we're talking about, to the topics, but it's always like, I always be like, let's get off the path for a minute, right? Like, let's get off the rails, as if this was a guided tour. Let's get off of that rail for a minute, because I want to get some real responses from people for certain things. So that's funny, Ben, that you say that, though.
No, I mean, because that was definitely, that's some inside information. That was definitely not on our script. That question was not on our script at all. And I wasn't really prepared for it, but I thought it was a great question, and it got some great answers that y'all can peep when you watch the whole panel, if you do. So
I like the way you're running this, by the way, because you're leaving people on like perpetual cliffhangers. It's just like, here's the question, and if you want to know what it was, you got to go watch it.
Hey, you know what I mean? Hey, you can't, look, I've never, allegedly, I've participated in illicit sales from time to time. So, you got to entice them.
Okay.
You give away a little free, but you don't give them the whole thing,
Wow. Wow.
Allegedly.
Because I always have that problem of working for the bid too and creating stuff for them that you won't own. But like you said, it's planting seeds. And I always say that, we say that on ForAllNerds all the time, that we're planting seeds that we won't get to live under the shade of those trees, but we plant those seeds for other people so that they can live under the shade of those trees. So
yeah, we was saying some shit though, Leslie. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk our shit.
We was in our bag. Like, we was standing on business for real. Like, you gave us that platform. We was like, fuck it, we going it. Like, we're just appreciative. We're very appreciative.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm gonna let y'all cook. Y'all did that.
Yeah.
Because on that one, I'm not even gonna get to the question, but I just wanted to let y'all see how we was cooking up on that stage, because we was up there cooking. I basically asked about, which is really a hilarious question, about the impact or controversy with Black characters. And I think, Leslie, you suggested that question, and I thought it was so funny, because I'm like, there is never a Black character in comics that's not controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, never. It doesn't matter if we create a new character, if they race bend the old character. It doesn't matter. Controversy. Every time. Miles Morales, perfect example. New character and still steeped in
It's still
controversy.
something every time.
Every time.
Yeah, I think that was an audience member echoed that question or echoed that sentiment in the question where they had asked, what is it like to, well, there's two questions. There's like, what is it like to see a character that was traditionally interpreted as white now interpreted as black? And then there was another question, I think, that came from the audience or it came from you all that was about black villains.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was one of ours, Ben. Remember when we were like, we asked that question just about what is it? It's like nothing bad could happen to black characters.
We talk about that a lot because we talk about how people get this idea in their head that nothing bad can happen to black characters or black characters can't do bad things because we only have so much representation. So it's like when something bad happens to them, like the famous example, which I'm still tight about, is Darwin in X-Men First Class. When my man eats the grenade and dies, and it's like this man in the comics evolved to become a god, and in here it's like, nah, you out of here, black man. But at the same time, it's like, well, that was a bad one because.
But that was a bad that he shouldn't have
Darwin,
died. No.
white, black, green should have been
like,
here. Yeah.
Like think of like black, like villains that happen to be black people, right? And I this is another bad movie, but like Black Manta, like, like it's a villain and it's just like, oh, he's black, so he has to be the angry black man, da, da, da. And it's just like, no, man, he don't fuck with Aquaman, and this is why, and that's
on
just
a personal
what it is.
Level. Yeah,
right, like he doesn't fuck with him musically, so this is what's going on, right? Like, I don't know, and it's like people, it's like people, we talk a lot about how you can't have it both ways. You can't say you want the breadth and depth of all types of black experiences and types of black people, but then get mad when they're out there committing atrocities. Like those types of black people exist too, along with the stand-up, number one type black people. So it's just like, if you're gonna say you want both, allow both.
Yeah. And I think when you interpret a character that was seen as white as black, you have to understand what that means as well, especially if it's a villain. I'm thinking of the first Daredevil film with
oh God,
and where the Kingpin was, shout out and RIP to Michael Clark Duncan who played that character. But the Kingpin is one of the most sinister and very like maniacal characters within the Marvel canon. And we can argue if he's superpowered or not, but then even just to have this big black man who, is coming off this trail of playing another big black man in the Green Mile. What does that mean? What does that mean when you put him in that role?
Right.
And I don't think they examined it at all.
They didn't.
No, it's just Kingpin, it's normal Kingpin, black, white, whatever. And that would be different if there was a black crime boss in New York. It would be a whole, thing.
Yeah, would he be doing that type of crime, or would he be so out there with it?
Yeah, I mean, we'll never get to see, but that was how it ended. Luke Cage ended.
Yep,
on Netflix.
And you took the words out of my mouth because I was about to say that was like that's what I wanted to see, and I know Chael would have handled that. Yeah, Chael would have handled Luke being a black crime boss very well. Like,
you know what I realized, that we got like damn near the same exact type of ending in Invincible. When a cement guy, I don't know what his name was.
Oh,
it was like an early episode. Remember of Invincible?
Yeah,
when that
I know exactly
cement
who you're talking about.
That Invincible was helping, basically like tricked him, and it ended up becoming the boss of the underworld. It was just like almost parallel. Like, and it's a black man, but that he was doing it for his family and this and that. So
yeah, and they really expanded on that story from the comics, and that was a great episode. He's trying to come back around too. That
Oh, that'd be dope.
Yeah, everybody in Invincible comes back around. There's not one character who you won't see again in some way, shape, or form. So,
except for the ones that got killed by Nolan.
Well,
flashbacks.
I mean,
not the immortal. We know this man, but
yeah. Oh no, no, them niggas is all dead. No,
yeah, that's what I'm like.
No,
some of them are not coming back.
No, the Justice League does not get resurrected. No, them niggas is dead.
Not you calling them the Justice League?
They are the Justice
that's
League.
What they were.
I know that's what they are, but don't use it that.
That's what was so brilliant in the comic, because that whole scene takes place over 2 pages. Like, it's 1 page of introduction to all of them, and then another page of them getting slaughtered.
Jeez.
But that's all he needed, because he used those archetypes where it's like, okay, this is the Flash. Okay, this is Green Lantern. Okay. Right. And I think he gives them all each a page or each. Yeah, I think they each get a page of what it is. They each
had a page or a panel?
No, they each had a page of introduction. Like, and it was dope because it made you care about them. Like Wonder Woman, the Wonder Woman character is shown at home with her girlfriend, and then she has to go off, because she gets the signal call, and they're like arguing about something else. So it's like you got to know them. The Flash is with his girlfriend, that woman who we saw in the episode where the Flash is with her, and then he has to run off. So it's like you get all them real quick, and you're like, oh, I know these characters, and then they're killed. So it was shocking because you're like, oh, it's the Justice League again. Oh, they're all dead, and it was Invincible, the comic was an experience,
Sorry for getting off track, but
I mean, I kind of want to keep us off track a little bit.
Go ahead.
Okay, yes.
But to see that represented in, a television series, but that, Justice League, I forget what they were called in the show.
Guardians
of the Globe.
Yeah, the Guardians of the Globe, they were all, either visibly racialized as either black or brown or coded as such with
Correct.
that fish character, or they were queer as well too.
Yep.
So the idea that nothing bad happens to minority characters in any way based on their race or their sexual orientation, but then you just wipe them all out. So you hit
equal opportunity slaughtering.
The black person dies first, and then also the bury your gays trope in the same thing. So.
The bury your gays trope?
Yeah.
What's that? I need to. You can't just drop that bomb.
So the bury your gays trope is within media, especially science fiction and fantasy media, where you have a character that is realized as queer, that they exist to drive the narrative of the main character who is idealized as straight with their death. So
I mean, but in that one he murdered everyone, so it was like
that was the point.
It was
just
equal opportunity. All of y'all get it. We hitting every trope in existence right now.
We're hitting all the tropes and we're killing them. I get the double.
But that's the point of Invincible. And Leslie, I gathered you've read the book, right?
Bits and pieces of it.
Okay, bits and pieces.
Yeah, the show prompted me to go back and actually do a thorough read of it. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's what I was literally thinking about this yesterday because I told Tatiana about this before. There is so much shit coming in this book that I think that's another short video I want to do. And I was like, people reacting to all the violence in Invincible, like, oh my God, this isn't a cartoon. And there is just so much shit coming, beyond the violence.
And just that comment alone, this, oh my God, this isn't a cartoon. I'm like, first of all, it's the word cartoon maybe that's throwing me off. Animated features or animated shows, whatever you want to call it, animation comes in all forms.
But in Western, it's not as prominent. I know. But it's not as prominent lately. That's the other thing too, especially lately. It's because I grew up on like Ralph Bakshi and shit like that, where it was out of control wild.
If you was like a Cartoon Network head like me, like you saw some of this shit, like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, but
and
Cartoon
granted, some of that
Network
was anime, but still.
Yeah, and they were playing a lot of anime. That's what I'm saying. Ralph Bakshi is a Western artist who did wild adult films, that were animated. So but it ain't like that as much anymore. So Invincible is gonna shock because. Like I say, it ain't the violence. It's just some storylines in Invincible that I've never seen in most media. There is some stuff that happens that I really can't wait to see. And like I've said, if I was in that writer's room, I'd be like, no, we're fucking doing this story. Yeah. Because no one, you don't get to see this type of stuff. And I won't say any more than that. But I can't think of a media, like especially major, where something like this happens other than, I almost said the movie title, and that would have been a bit spoiler. And that movie's like nothing. 40, 50 years old right now. And it ain't handled the way this is handled. So there's no, I don't see this in much stuff. So no, in fact, and that's not even the same thing in that movie. Yeah, that's a complete, no. I don't.
This just because you.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. No, I'm not saying anything by accident. I'm really like, I don't know anything where this has been done. Where this storyline like this has been done like this. I would like to see if there is. I'm gonna have to do some research.
Besides, you mean Western and not anime?
In general, this ain't no shit. Like I say, because anime will be like, well.
There are stories that take it to the 10th level when we're talking about crazy stuff you've never seen before in anime. If you're talking about Western animation, this is kind of unique.
It's probably happened in anime.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. I going no further because that's disturbing. Because too many things happen in anime.
There's a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, all right, y'all be shot by Invincible. I've lost track, so I don't even know what this next question is anymore. But we gonna see. Yeah.
What a great question.
Oh, see, y'all have to
Well, we
watch that
know
one
it
to see
would
that one.
like give you some energy and stuff, you know. And some of y'all touched on this already, but like as you're writing these stories, and maybe less so the independent ones, but the ones where you have the corporate overlords, right? Or even when you may have directives from the university, right? How do you balance your own personal desires with what is expected of you in terms of what you're delivering?
That's a great question right there, Tatiana. You know, I think people have to watch this panel to to see the answer to that one.
I think so.
Yeah.
Selling water to a well, man.
Hey, you know. One last one I definitely want to highlight though, for real, is this one right here, because this is something we talked about a lot on the show, and I just think it needs to be,
And I like the stage, by the way. I wanted to say that it was very simple. It was, well, the stage itself, but also the little bit of design that was there, because there was some design there, right? Like it was simple and it was inviting, and I appreciate that. Everything matched the decor, and I liked it a lot. So
You had our faces all big on the screen behind
yeah,
us.
we kept looking back like, wow, man,
Y'all
It was
here,
great.
y'all there in the Oprah Winfrey Theater. Yep.
That
From
happened.
that place and get better and work at it. And if you're not willing to do that, you will never be successful as an artist.
Yeah.
Talent is
Y'all need to watch this panel just for Eve, because this woman just says so much shit. I mean, everybody was great, but Eve
She
is a rock
ate
star.
down.
Talk about that
Yes.
a little bit,
Yeah.
about thinking your work is trash or thinking
Now,
the things
here's
you're
the
doing
one.
is trash,
Imposter
because
syndrome, yeah.
people may or may not be familiar with the idea of the imposter syndrome, right? Like you are put in a position where you're the leader or you're in charge of something, and then you get this feeling in your gut like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. I'm not the right person, or did they pick the right person? At this point in all of your careers, do you ever still feel that at any point?
Yeah, I'm just like, sit the fuck up, Ben. Jesus Christ. Ugh. All right, I'm just, like you said, Leslie, I'm just gonna take joy in the fact that we were sitting on the stage and not worry about the fact that I wasn't
Oh,
sitting
you talking about
straight
sitting up?
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think I'm talking about? I'm just
No, I
sitting
just
there
wanted to make sure.
looking like
you
a
look.
fucking gump.
No. It looks like like you're supporting Tatiana. Like,
Yeah,
yes,
it looked like you were
know,
into the conversation.
yes. Let's get into this. Yep.
Fucking gump. All right. Well, yeah, that's all we're gonna run from this panel right here. But let's see what else. Leslie, I do want to know what do you have coming up? What's going on with you? Anything else you want to talk about? Let the people know about.
I did
you
have a
got-
question. I did have a
Okay.
question though. Whether it's the museum itself or maybe
Mhm.
even the Afrofuturism exhibit, Leslie, what's your favorite part? Maybe it's two different things. Like, what is your favorite part of the exhibit, or what's your favorite part of the museum? Like, what brings you the most joy?
Yes. That's a great question. I
Mhm.
think there it is actually two parts that I really enjoy. So the first part is the music. So the sonic architects and Afrofuturism in the space of music.
Architects, yeah.
So just thinking about how there's so many wonderful artists that have played around with sound and played around with lyrics and just the presentation of themselves in their performances. And really, I think what our lead curator, Kevin Strait, really did with that exhibition was really foreground Sun Ra's presence as really the forefather of Afrofuturistic music, or even just really modern Afrofuturism, and how we just built on that with artists like Grace Jones, Nona Hendrix, um, Prince, so many others, Lee Scratch Perry, Outkast, really just sort of just taken this idea of existing in another space, another realm, another world, and really just kind of coming back and using music to share what they've learned from being over there.
Man, yeah, I could talk about that all day. Like, I was already blown the fuck away by the music stuff, Well, I saw the music stuff after, but when we walked through there and you showed me Andre's notebook and it had the page where he was talking about AT aliens and the creation of each song.
Leslie, he was talking about this for days.
Yeah, just the like AT aliens is one of my favorite albums of all time, and to see the thought process that he put into every song, where it was all these layers to it that I'm not even thinking about. And I took video of that. I got to actually go back and study that shit and read all those, notes he had, because man, that type of stuff is just, unreal. And then you had the MPC, it's just it's such a, man, what an exhibit.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite parts, and to hear the music and to see the albums, the original albums and costuming from a lot of those artists, or instruments and equipment that they use to create some of the greatest masterpieces that we've been able to experience in this lifetime, and hopefully we continue to experience going forward. But then the second part is in the gallery, where we unpack and talk about superheroes. And really that spoke to the child in me. And my fascination with Afrofuturism started in my childhood, and it was sparked by the X-Men animated series, and being able to wake up on Saturday mornings and watch that on Fox Kids, that and Power Rangers. And just seeing characters like Storm and Bishop, that really captivated my imagination. To have to have a superpowered person that looks like me, and then to be able to see them drive narratives of the show. So there's a whole story arc that was about Bishop's travels to the present, which was the 1990s, and then also to have Storm there as well too is wonderful. And then that was just my gateway and entryway into everything science fiction and fantasy from there. So that led me to Power Rangers. That led me to watching Xena. That led me to watching anime and everything else. Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, everything else has been sort of like a snowball from that.
Oh, you brought it back with the Xena. Oh my God. And you're wearing Black American Hero Powerline on your t-shirt, another musical icon.
Yes, Powerline. It's so interesting because I will argue people down that you cannot tell me that the goofs, that they aren't Black.
They are. You've seen the episode of Atlanta?
Seen that episode. People tell me I need to go back and watch it.
Oh my God, you haven't?
Especially because you have your thoughts about the goofs. Watch that episode.
Yes, the goofs, they're Black. First of all, we know that Powerline is Black because he's a shade darker than everybody else.
That too.
Tevin Campbell, and it was, that character was built on the image of Bobby Brown. And then just this whole idea that such a fantastic lie of my dad knew him. Like, come on, no white coded character is gonna know, a Bobby Brown.
Correct.
So in that way. So, and then just Roxanne herself, that was the original baddie,
Yes. She was the original thick Puerto Rican, pecan, Afro Latina, whatever you want to call her.
And the way that her dad didn't let her out the house, that's such a Black experience,
It was a very Black movie through and through. But I am, I just love, what brings me joy is like hearing how dedicated you are to the process when it comes to the African American Museum, and all the work and timing and energy that goes into it, and the fact that you find joy. Like, I love hearing about people who are happy and thrilled and passionate about the jobs that they have and the life that they lead, right? Yes, everyone says you can always have something better, but I hear the happiness in your voice, and that makes me happy. Like, it's like I love hearing about people who feel they're in the right place. So this is good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad that resonates. And I feel happy, but I want people to come into the space and feel happy. We deal with a lot of dark subject matter, which we need to, because that's a part of the history of who we are, but the history of this country. But the Afrofuturism exhibition is one that allows us to instill hope and imagination. And just one last thing, if I can talk about the exhibition, is in the exhibition, we have on display the flight suit that Trayvon Martin wore, and he went to space camp. So previously, in that same exhibition space that was about Reconstruction, we had the clothes that Trayvon Martin wore when he was murdered by George Zimmerman. And that was that by the request of his family, that was the only space in the exhibition where you could not take pictures because it was his hoodie, it was his clothes, it was his shoes, his cell phone. So that was a time capsule. So when we put that together and I saw just the technology that has advanced so much from that time, the Skittles bag and the Arizona tea can as well was on display. And that was a part of the story that we were telling, but then to have this exhibition that's refreshing and to have that next to the costume of Lieutenant Uhuru that Nichelle Nichols wore, and then to have it next to just this installation that talks about all of the Black astronauts that had been involved with NASA. It tells a story of hope, but it also tells the story of a life that was cut down too young. And then when his family came through, his mother really was happy to see that. And she remarked, because the way that the mannequin is raised on a platform, she talks about how, this could have been the career that he had, and this could have been the height that he could have been had he had lived, because it was raised in a way to where they're looking down on you. So again, that's a way of understanding that hopefully in a different timeline, in a different universe, that he's living his life and he's doing these wonderful things. But then also where we are in this present, in this timeline, we can understand that there's still a story of hope that needs to be told within that.
Oh my God, Liz, you about to make me cry.
Well, before you break down in tears, Tatiana.
Oh my goodness.
We do have a little segment we call the BRAP segment, which we have not done in quite a while.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I was just like, the what?
Yes.
We haven't done this in a long time.
We have not done this in a long time, but we do have a very special guest who, as they said, have been waiting, their whole lives to be on this show. So, here we go.
Okay.
The Falcon or War Machine?
Oh, War Machine.
All right.
Luke Cage or Black Panther?
Oh.
You had both of them up in that exhibit.
Yeah. Both of the costumes from the TV show and the movie are on display. I want to go with Luke.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to go with Luke because you've talked about it on the show, this idea of having superheroes that are fighting on a intergalactic scale than heroes that are fighting in your neighborhood.
Correct.
And a part of me is such a grassroots person that I'm a stand that right there. Yeah.
Okay.
I respect it.
I respect that a lot. I really like that answer. Magneto or Professor X?
Oh man. Okay, so I like and
you're an X-Men stan for those who don't know. Yes, hardcore.
Yep.
The thing is, these is two white men, but oh man, I in essence, I understand Professor X's motivation and the space that he created to create the X-Men. But Magneto was just, you got to respect somebody that was about that business. And
he stood on business.
And then also we have people, these controversial sort of problematic faves throughout our history in Black culture that Magneto is kind of like a stand-in for. So I definitely had to go with Magneto. Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, I followed Magneto to the end, man. Before I follow Charles.
Charles had there's so many conflicting things with Charles, like children out of, that he didn't recognize and
wild boy.
Yeah, he was. But you know what? I do appreciate his relationship with Lilandra. And then she's also a Black person.
She is. Thank you. She's also Black.
Yeah, she's just she's on the fair side.
She's still Black?
Yeah, you can't tell me that that's not an afro. I know it's supposed to, they're like bird.
You know whose afro it is? You know, back in the day, the way Patty used to wear her hair, she actually there was one time Patty would have her hair. My mother got a picture of her where it was flat iron, but it was like a sharp, thin piece of hair that was in that shape. A fan, like a bunch of fans coming out her head. That's Lalandra.
Yep, Lalandra's the fourth member of LaBelle.
I love it. Her outfit is definitely LaBelle. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Next question.
They got a Lalandra figure coming next year. I can't wait.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
I might gotta get that.
Yep.
All right. Next question: Lex Luthor or Kang or Doctor Doom?
The silence.
Okay, I would say this is so complicated. I immediately would have said Kang, but because of things that are happening right now.
Well, you don't have to count him.
I like Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor. He's also a character that growing up I thought he was black.
Same. Yep. Thank you, Leslie. I don't care what nobody says. I know he's not, but I don't care. I know he's racially ambiguous and all that. That man was a black man, and that's why I always gravitated to him and his outlandish ideas, because I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. He's the only one trying. So
that's a black man, right?
That's a black man.
That's a black man, right there.
That's a black man.
And
come on.
If DC ever gets their stuff together, I would like to see him actually casted as a black person.
Like, please, just one good time. And I don't know why y'all running from it. He's clearly black. Fine, if you want to do racially ambiguous, like not as big, but like the Rock type where you can't tell what they are, then fine. But that's a black man. Whatever.
For real. All right. Let's see. Michael Myers, Freddy, or Jason?
None of them.
All right.
Yes. I'm not a horror fan, so
valid answer.
Fresh Prince or Martin?
Martin all day. Yeah. What's up?
You did that really good, by the way.
All right. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Her exhibit. I'm just saying. Okay.
It's just better black representation in Star Trek than there ever will be in Star Wars. Yeah.
Can't really deny that one. Yeah, can't really.
And Boyega ain't coming back to Star Wars, so I don't know where you're gonna find another one.
I don't know Childish is either, so
no.
He keeps saying he is, but
and they ignored Jana. What was her name? The black woman that was there for 2 seconds.
Yeah. They did her dirty. Yep.
And they got my the most petty nigga in the universe on Andor, so I will give them that. They have representation in a petty ass nigga on Andor who I'm in love with. So yeah,
fantastic.
Yep.
All right, what's your favorite superhero movie of all time?
Favorite would be X2. Yeah, X-Men 2.
X-Men 2? Okay, why X-Men 2?
So I'm a big Phoenix.
There we go.
And and then just the sacrifice that Jean made in that film, and then also just that's a story of love that's at the deeper layers of it, and that's a story of self-sacrifice. I think that was one of the best X-Men films. We still have yet to see what Marvel's going to do with those characters, but I feel like that was the best X-Men film of the original canon. Yeah,
I agree.
I perhaps, but I still never really truly 100% agreed with the depiction because again, Fox Kids. So, and again, being a child, seeing all this stuff that's very heady and well above my pay grade at that age, but I'm like the deepness of it, and then to get the Fox version, I was like, yeah. So I felt a little slighted, but I hear you.
But no, go ahead.
That and also the first Blade as well too. People don't see that as a superhero film; they just see it as a horror film, a vampire film. But that really just kicked off everything that we know about superhero films. And I really want that film to get its props and its day in the sun with Mahershala. And then also Wesley as well.
We'll see if that sees the light of day, man. It hadn't been looking too good, so.
Eesh. Who is your first geek crush?
I would say Kimberly from the Power Rangers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Power Rangers was your thing. That's right.
Nice.
In any medium such as TV, comics, film, what character's death hurt you the most?
There's a lot of characters that hurt. I guess I was G Baby.
Oh no, from Hardball. No, from Hardball.
I don't know who that is.
That's the one white savior film I really fuck with, Ben.
From what?
You never seen the one white savior film I've always really fucked with? Hardball, starring Keanu Reeves. Even though he's not exactly white, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like,
is that like he's a coach? Is that one of them?
He's a coach that coaches the little league team.
Oh damn! I want to see this now. I love all them shits. I've never seen that one though. Oh, and G Baby dies. Damn.
Why you come up with something so traumatic, Leslie? Damn.
Damn. Well.
Yeah, and to watch that as like a preteen, and it's a movie about Black preteens.
Yeah.
I was just like, dang.
Yeah,
I was tore up from that. Yeah.
I love the white savior coach movies. Like that's where I'll give you an exception. You know, when you're coaching, I'll give you an exception. It's like
I could, because you got some chops in sports.
I don't fuck with the teaching shit. When they teaching, I'm like, fuck out of here.
He's a
no, the coaching one I'm always down for. But usually those are like the black coaches too. So that's why I just like sports movies, and the coach movies are always great. So I'll definitely gotta peep that.
No, this is actually Hardball is actually a really good movie.
I gotta watch that one. Like the one where oh my god, this is off, but the one where Ben Affleck is a drunk. It came out like a few years ago. That nigga stumbles downstairs and shit. Yo, that movie is, like unintentionally comedy. Yeah, it's a good ass coach movie
like
too.
Mr. Glass falling down the steps.
Yes, there we go. It's like that. Yes, drunk
Funniest
Ben Affleck, because he's really that drunk in real life. It's like
Damn, Leslie, I can't believe you said G Baby. Oh my god. But you should still watch it, Ben. Like,
oh no, I'm definitely gonna watch it.
It's gonna still hit.
I'll watch any coach movie, any of that shit. Like, I don't give a damn. Like, all them shits I love. I love all. I still gotta watch the one where Terrence Howard is coaching the swim team. Just because, like, it's Terrence Howard. Like, I gotta see that shit.
Swim? Oh, he taught them math too.
In Philly, yeah, it's called Pride. Yeah.
He tells them that if they get to
one
the
times
end
one
in less than 2 seconds, it's
one.
I don't know. Yeah.
This is the math you're gonna do. Get your speed. Go ahead.
All right. If you could have any one superpower, Leslie, what would it be?
Telekinesis.
Oh,
good one.
Jean Grey again. There we go.
Well, yes.
I want that Phoenix level telekinesis.
Yeah,
too.
I want psionic abilities, so that includes like telepathy as well. Too.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want the whole Jean Grey?
You want the whole
Phoenix suite? Yeah, the Phoenix suite.
Phoenix suite.
Yeah.
You want the whole DLC? I get you.
I feel you. Yeah, that's the cheat code. Phoenix suite is the cheat code, but I'm down with it. I'm definitely down with it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you survived the BRAP segment. You survived the interview. Yeah. Please let the people know where they can find you at, and anything else you got coming up that you want to talk about.
Well, I want to definitely make sure that I shout out the museum, so you can find all wonderful things that are happening at the museum on Twitter and on Instagram. So you can, that is NMAAHC, so NMAAHC. And then if you are mentioning the show, or if you're mentioning anything that's happening in the museum, definitely use the hashtag NMAAHC. So that's what I'll close you out with. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And we will be watching the documentary. I know you drop us a link as well. So we're gonna be watching that. We're gonna also push people to go to the museums.
You'll find me there at the museum.
Go to the actual museum itself.
Yeah.
Visit. They have to still sign up for passes, like time passes? Can they just show up?
Yes. So both yes and. So please certainly register online at nmaahc.si.edu to get passes to the museum. But I'm gonna tell y'all a trick. So after 2 p.m., when most of the crowds have gone through, if you do not have a pass, you will be able to come into the museum because those are low traffic periods.
Oh, dope.
That's
Oh,
smart.
shit.
Look at
Leslie, I'm
that.
definitely coming back through, ASAP sometime in 2024, like probably February, March, I'll be back down there. I got
Black
you. 'Cause
History Month.
I gotta see it again.
Don't y'all
I
do?
got,
Don't y'all still do it? What is it? First Friday? Not First Fridays. Maybe I'm thinking of Brooklyn Museum.
yeah,
But but don't y'all
and
do
if,
it where
if you
y'all
do
had
anything
the
like that, yeah.
parties in the restaurant?
Oh,
What days were that?
you're talking about Club Cafe that we did for
Yes.
yes, we did that that was a special
Oh,
iteration that we did for the hip hop block party that we celebrated this past summer for the 50th anniversary of hip hop.
okay.
Oh,
So,
nice.
but please come to the museum to enjoy the exhibitions, but also the wonderful programming that we do during the day, but also in the evening.
Yes. And
Word up.
please go, as we kept saying, go to the YouTube page for the museum, watch our panel, okay? Go read all up about Afrofuturism. If you liked anything that you heard here, go to the social channels of the museum. You could find Leslie, say, hey, Leslie, especially when you go to the museum, Leslie, Tatiana, and Ben told me about you. I appreciate you. I'm here. I'm going to donate. Whatever you want to do. Just saying,
Word up. Leave a comment saying how much you want to see For All Nerds back again at
you
the
want us to
museum.
get back. Let them know. Be loud.
Yep.
Yep, I would love to have you all back. And thank you so much for having me on this show. This definitely is a dream come true. Just a friend and a fan really of the show. So I'm truly grateful for this opportunity, and I'm truly happy that I had the opportunity to work with you all. And then our paths are going to cross several times over in different timelines already. So.
Word.
Aw.
Oh, thank you very much, Leslie. Thank you all for watching this. We're out of here for now, but as always, make sure you follow us. Follow me, DJ Ben Amin. Follow Tatiana King on all social medias. Make sure you're following For All Nerds on everything. You can get this dope ass merch that we're both wearing right now. We got to get you some of this, Leslie, at ForAllNerds.com. You can get all this sweatshirts, hoodies, t-shirts, all of that goodness. You can also support us at patreon.com/forallnerds. Any bit helps. Everything helps. We just dropped a new episode over there. And to all our patrons over there, we're asking you, what do you want more from us in 2024? So
What do you want from us?
please leave us a comment. We're promising you a bonus episode every month, but we also want to know more of what you want. So please leave us a comment over there. Make sure you're following us on YouTube, on Spreaker, on SoundCloud, everywhere out there. Hit that follow button. For All Nerds. Twitch.tv/ForAllNerds. Everywhere.
Love
Deuces.
y'all. Hey, what's up, internets and the fan fam? This is Tatiana King for All Nerds, and I want to thank you so much for listening and watching the For All Nerds. Make sure you like and subscribe to us only on YouTube.